So The Boys has now had its second series, and with the show wrapped up until the next one, many might be craving some more The Boys content. I made a video a while ago about the prospect of a The Boys video game, and what that could include. In that video, I mentioned that the characters of this universe originated in comic books, now having been adapted for screen. But there are still other mediums left open for them to conquer, one of these being video games. I also discussed the prospect of playing as either members of The Boys or as members of the Seven in such a game, delving into how the gameplay could differ for each of these options. That video is available here if you're interested. But now, let's take playing as The Boys off the table and focus on the Seven. While there are lots of members of the Seven who would make good candidates to base a video game around, obviously, due to the specific Compound V enhancements at play, some would be better suited to this kind of medium than others. So for now, we'll narrow it down to just one member. And one member who may be particularly well suited for a solo video game is Black Noir. Now, let's delve into the original Black Noir's background in the comics, and how it could relate to a video game iteration. Obviously, major spoilers will now ensue. Warning complete. Moving on. In the comics, Black Noir is a clone of Homelander, and was created for the purpose of killing Homelander if ever it were necessary. But that situation didn't arise by itself, so Black Noir framed Homelander for a series of crimes. The backlash Homelander received for this led him to turn against his country, murder the president, and take over the White House. Essentially, so that he would be granted the reason to carry out his mission, Black Noir manipulated Homelander into treason. How does this compare to the version of Black Noir in the show? Well, his background has not yet been explored in the show, but there are strong indications that it's substantially or completely different to that portrayed in the comics. It seems unlikely that the version of Black Noir in the show is a clone of Homelander, for reasons you'll know if you're familiar with it. And it also seems, based on that, and the combat situations he's been portrayed engaging in, that he's not as strong as the version in the comic book source material. Although the version in the comic did deliberately hide the true extent of his strength because he was undercover, so it's possible that's the case in the show too. There is, of course, the option of following the basic outline of the comics to construct a set of missions and a gaming journey for Black Noir, and if this route were taken, he could be given the comic book origin of being Homelander's clone, and all the missions could revolve around this, spying on Homelander, perhaps framing him for crimes and provoking him into violence that would require Black Noir fulfill his mission directive to take him out. Homelander could then be the final boss of the game. Alternatively, the new Black Noir's background could be different from both these other sources. The game could premiere yet another different version of the character, confined within a new gaming universe. This would of course provide the prospect of further gaming titles based around other members of the Seven, or the Boys. For this new Black Noir, the game could meld the backgrounds of both the other versions from the comics and the show. Using a new version of Black Noir for the game would probably be the best option, as it would avoid straying into the territory of the show's plan for the character, and would not be restricted by the influence of the intentions for the show, or the past of the comics. The game developers would have more carte blanche to give their Black Noir whatever background seemed appropriate, and they could adapt his character to best fit a gaming environment. Now, moving on to Black Noir's skills and powers, and how they could best be integrated into the gameplay. Black Noir has a cool and balanced mix of skills and powers, and as such, would fare well in a variety of environments and gameplay scenarios. He is a ninja-type character suited to covert, stealthy missions. However, he is also adept at confrontational battles, demonstrating formidable strength, durability, and combat capacity. He doesn't seem to wield any weapons, unless I'm mistaken, feel free to let me know if I am, but he could do for a game. He wears tactical armour, but often doesn't even need it, as he is so durable. This is demonstrated in the show when he endures gunshots and an explosion, seeming totally unfazed by both. What about the comics? Well, he's very strong in both versions, but seems stronger in the comics, at least so far. The full extent of his powers is still somewhat of a mystery in the show, with new glimpses at what he's capable of revealed incrementally as the series progress. While he's durable enough to withstand explosions etc. in the show, he's not indestructible. He can be penetrated. He just heals quickly. and seems to have tougher skin than most people. It's slightly ambiguous, but that seems likely. In fact, the armour is a good aid for him here, as it adds another layer to make him tougher still, meaning certain forms of attack have even less of an effect than they already would. He's also very fast. In the show, it's mentioned that he can move faster than a vehicle. These skills and abilities could be integrated into gameplay mechanics more smoothly than would be the case for some other members of the Seven. They may also be more fun to play with than the powers of certain members, because if weapons were included, there could be a good mix of skills and weapons to utilise, many of which are already common in video games now, such as using guns and blades, and even his enhanced strength and rapid healing to a certain extent. He's a good candidate for a solo game because he strikes a good balance between the tactical and covert and heavy hitting style combat. As mentioned, he's also strong but not indestructible, which is ideal for a certain type of gameplay, as it allows room for the fun of using the character's abilities while still being challenged by the things he's vulnerable to. And it means that his powers do not necessarily have to be altered or deviate from the versions of the character already portrayed in other sources. All this lends itself to a diverse yet well-balanced gameplay landscape. He would be better for a game than someone like A-Train, for example, who has a sparser range of skills. So with that context laid out, what type of missions could a game like this feature? Well, in the show, Compound V has made its way outside Vought, enhancing enemies to the US in foreign territories. Black Noir is one of the main heroes in the show who is sent on overseas military initiatives to fight these enhanced enemies, so this would be a suitable thing to include in a game. The situation with regards to this could obviously be changed in part from how it is portrayed in the show, presenting new and different challenges and threats for Black Noir to encounter. This could include tactical reconnaissance missions involving stealth and recovery of information and materials, like Compound V from enemy territory, or information on how to synthesize it, etc. It could also include combat assaults on enemy bases. These assaults would vary in difficulty, depending on which enemies were enhanced with Compound V and which were not. Aside from this, more terrestrial missions could be in large part related to Vaught's war with the Boys, so players could be tasked with locating members of the Boys and fighting, detaining or neutralising them. There's really a whole range of missions that would be possible when it comes to Vaught's conflict with the Boys, and many of the same types of missions already mentioned for overseas conflicts would also fit here, such as recovering stolen Vought information and materials from the Boys. The Boys also have Compound V enhanced members and associates assisting them in their war on Vought, and the inclusion of these members would provide more intense combat challenges for some missions of the game. Now, should a game like this be open world or linear? Each option would of course provide different possibilities for the kind of missions and combat available and necessary, but on balance, I think I would opt for open world. An open world setting would be good for a variety of reasons. Among them, the prospect of being able to explore the Vought company headquarters, interacting with employees and other members of the Seven there, as well as heading out into the city to roam around freely, encountering criminals and crimes, and choosing if and how to stop them. Due to Black Noir's covert skills, perhaps he could have the ability to climb buildings in the city and descend on criminals below. You could perhaps also choose when to engage in overseas missions, selecting areas on a global map and travelling to war zones. So what about the gameplay mechanics? What kind of things would be suitable or ideal in this domain? Well, the first thing that could be considered is combat, and based on the nature of the character, a martial arts style combat would probably be appropriate. It wouldn't need to be too flashy, as few people are a match for Black Noir's strength. He could make use of things like grappling hooks, and have an arsenal of weapons, and add to it as the game progresses, unlocking new, more powerful guns, blades, grenades, etc. You could also have the ability to upgrade your armour as you progress, adopting different aesthetics, and acquiring new benefits, like increased speed, stamina and durability. Should you be able to use vehicles in the game? Now this is an interesting one, because for some members of the Seven, the answer would be no. But for Black Noir, although he is apparently very fast, it seems appropriate to incorporate the availability of vehicles, particularly if the game is in an open world setting, because not only would it add to convenience for travel, but it would also be fun. When Black Noir goes to war zones, think of playing in an open world environment there and having the option of driving military vehicles around to aid you in your missions, or just to travel from mission to mission. You could even drive tanks in this sort of environment, and of course make use of the associated artillery. Another feature could be collecting and storing up more minor compound V hits in your arsenal. These hits would not give permanent changes to your powers, but could give a temporary strength and speed boost. Following on from this, perhaps there could also be a way to permanently upgrade your powers, such as strength and speed, by taking another form of compound V booster hit. A bit like how in Days Gone you can find Nero enhancement drugs dotted around the map, and use them to upgrade endurance stats. So there we are. Those are just a few suggestions for what could be included in a Black Noir video game. But what do you think? Would you play a game like this? Would you prefer a game based around a different member of the Seven, or even the boys? Do you have any other suggestions for features that could be included in a game like this? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, subscribe for more videos like this and other gaming videos as well, and click the bell end to receive alerts when the next video is posted. Thanks for watching, see you next time.